Every morning, Daniel walked out of his quiet suburban home, coffee in hand, ready to start another peaceful day until he saw it again. His mailbox. Smashed. Bent backward like a crumpled can. For the third time this month, he stared at the mess, trying to keep calm, but the frustration in his chest was impossible to ignore. He had just replaced it 2 weeks ago. This can't be a coincidence, he muttered, staring down the perfectly manicured lawns of Maple Creek, a neighborhood run by the strictest HOA in the state, but deep down, Daniel already suspected who was behind it: Karen. The self-appointed queen of the homeowners association. She walked around with a clipboard, measuring grass, timing sprinklers, and snapping pictures whenever someone broke a rule. She'd argued with Daniel ever since he'd moved in, claiming his mailbox was too close to the curb, even though it wasn't. That morning, she stood across the street, pretending to water her flowers, but Daniel noticed the smirk she tried to hide. That was it. No more ignoring. No more replacing. Daniel decided to catch whoever was doing this. If it was Karen, he wanted proof. Real proof, because this time, he wasn't just going to replace his mailbox. He was going to outsmart the HOA's most entitled member once and for all. He had no idea, though, that what started as a broken mailbox would soon unravel a secret that would shake the entire neighborhood. Daniel spent the next few days researching unbreakable mailboxes. He laughed at the absurdity, but after losing 3 already, he wasn't taking chances. He ordered a security-grade, impact-resistant mailbox, the kind used outside government buildings. Steel-reinforced, locked base, built like a tank. When it arrived, Daniel installed it himself under the glow of the street lamp. He smiled at the sturdy silver structure and whispered, "Let's see you crush this one, Karen." The next step? Cameras. He mounted a small, motion-detecting camera inside a decorative birdhouse. It pointed straight at the mailbox. The setup was perfect, invisible to the casual eye. For 2 nights, nothing happened. But on the third, at exactly 11:47 p.m., the motion alert buzzed Daniel's phone. He rubbed his eyes, opened the feed, and froze. Through the grainy night vision, a car slowly rolled up to his driveway. The headlights flicked off. A shadow stepped out, someone wearing a pink robe and slippers. Daniel squinted, heart pounding. It was Karen. She looked around, picked up a long metal rod from her trunk, and the screen went black. The feed cut out just before the moment of impact. Daniel's heart raced. He didn't have the full footage. But he had enough. Tomorrow morning, Karen would have no idea what kind of storm she'd just started. The next morning, Daniel stood outside as Karen strutted over, pretending to be friendly. "Morning, Daniel. Lovely weather, isn't it?" She chirped, hiding the mischief in her eyes. Daniel smiled politely. "Lovely, yeah. Especially for smashing mailboxes." Her expression froze. "Excuse me?" Daniel pulled out his phone. "You were out late last night, weren't you? Pink robe. Metal rod. Caught on camera." Karen's smile cracked. "That's ridiculous. You're accusing a board member of vandalism?" She laughed nervously, glancing around to make sure the neighbors could hear her. "You know, Daniel, making false claims against an HOA official is a serious matter." But Daniel didn't back down. "So is property damage," he said firmly. "And this time, I have proof." Karen's tone turned sharp. "If you keep harassing me, I'll report you to the HOA." She turned and stormed off, heels clacking like gunshots on the pavement. That night, Daniel reviewed the footage again. Something about it bothered him. The camera had cut out right before impact. Was it interference? Or had someone tampered with it? He didn't realize that Karen wasn't working alone. Someone else in the HOA had been helping her all along, someone even more powerful. 2 days later, Daniel drove past the community clubhouse and noticed the lights on late at night. Inside, through the frosted windows, he saw Karen and 3 HOA board members sitting around a table. Documents, maps, and printed photos were spread out before them. Curiosity got the best of him. He parked quietly and moved closer. Through the open window, he caught pieces of their conversation. Karen hissed, "He's becoming a problem. If he keeps pushing, the others will find out." A man in a gray suit replied, "Relax. Once we pass the new boundary plan, will classify his lot as non-compliant. He'll have no choice but to sell. Daniel's blood ran cold. So that was it. This wasn't about mailboxes, it was about land. The HOA was planning to take his property by forcing him into violation after violation. He pulled out his phone and began recording. Every word. Every face. Every secret. The next morning, Daniel uploaded the footage to a cloud drive and smiled for the first time in weeks. The board had no idea that their little meeting was now his biggest weapon, but as he left his house, he noticed something strange. His camera birdhouse was gone. Daniel's front yard looked different that morning. The birdhouse camera gone. His trash cans overturned. A warning note taped to his door: "Stop digging, or you'll regret it." Karen stood across the street, arms folded, smiling faintly. Daniel realized she knew. She knew he'd seen too much. He went straight to the local sheriff's office, explained the situation, and showed them the partial footage of her near his mailbox. The officer raised an eyebrow. "You're saying the HOA's targeting you?" "Not just me," Daniel said. "Anyone who questions them." The sheriff promised to look into it, but Daniel could tell they didn't take HOA drama seriously. So, he decided to handle it himself. He ordered a backup camera system, this time, hidden inside his fence post. Then he set up a decoy letter labeled property evidence and left it half visible through his window. That night, around midnight, motion alerts pinged again. A flashlight beam swept across his porch. Someone was there wearing gloves, hoodie pulled up, trying to open the window. The camera zoomed in, and there she was again. Karen, but this time, Daniel wasn't watching from his phone. He was standing right behind her, looking for something? Daniel's calm voice sliced through the quiet night. Karen froze, flashlight trembling in her hand. "Daniel. I was just checking your porch for," he cut her off. "Save it. You broke into my property. You destroyed my mailbox. You even tried to erase evidence. But it's all recorded now." Her voice cracked. "You don't understand. They made me do it." "Who?" he demanded. She hesitated, then whispered, "The HOA president, Mark. He wants your land. They're planning to sell it to a developer. I was supposed to push you out." Daniel couldn't believe it. "So you harassed me to help them profit?" Tears welled in her eyes. "I didn't know it would go this far." Daniel quietly stepped aside. The red and blue lights of a patrol car flashed across the driveway. "You can explain it to the police," he said. Karen dropped the flashlight, defeated. The officers led her away, while Daniel handed over the new camera footage and his recordings from the meeting. But even as she was driven off, Karen looked back and whispered something chilling through the car window: "They'll come for you next." The next HOA meeting drew a crowd. For once, the neighbors weren't afraid to speak. Daniel walked in with his phone, playing the secret recording of the board's midnight conversation. Gasps filled the room. Mark, the HOA president, went pale. "This is a violation of privacy," Daniel cut him off. "So is trying to steal my land." Within hours, the local news got wind of the story. By the next morning, the HOA board was under investigation for corruption and property fraud. Mark resigned. Karen faced community service for trespassing and vandalism, but she also confessed everything. Weeks later, Daniel finally replaced his mailbox one last time. This time, it stood proudly, a symbol of peace and persistence. His neighbors thanked him for standing up when no one else dared, and as he sipped his coffee, looking out at the quiet street, Daniel smiled. Not because he won, but because the truth had finally come out. He whispered, "Guess the HOA can't crush honesty." And that was the final twist in this unbelievable HOA story. If you love the drama, don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment sharing your thoughts. It really helps this channel grow.